Good morning, I'm Kenneth Moton.
And I'm Adrienne Bankert. Here are the top 5 things to know this Monday. Number 1.
A series of storms will track across the country, bringing rain, snow, and ice just as millions hit the road for the holiday. More than a foot of snow is expected in the Denver area after it starts falling later today. Then our Rob Marciano says that snow will move into Minnesota and Michigan tomorrow as more storms start to line up.
All at the same time, another significant storm drops into the northwest in Northern California. Travel disruptions there over I-5. We'll see several feet of snow at the higher elevations.
Meanwhile, there are new concerns that the famous balloons won't fly in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. New York City will ground the inflatables if wind gusts top 34 miles per hour. And right now, AccuWeather is forecasting wind gusts topping 40 miles per hour on Thursday.
Number 2, Navy Secretary Richard Spencer has been forced to resign after a dispute over the war crimes case involving Navy SEAL Eddie Gallagher.
Defense Secretary Mark Esper said Spencer went behind his back and tried to cut a deal with the White House that would allow Gallagher to retire as a SEAL with his Trident pin. Gallagher was acquitted of killing an ISIS captive in Iraq, but demoted for posing with a corpse. President Trump restored his rank.
When the Navy announced proceedings that could strip Gallagher of his pin, the president intervened again, tweeting that the pin will not be taken away. Esper says Gallagher will be allowed to keep his pin.
On to number 3. Sources say the House committee writing up the impeachment report has received video and audio recordings, including those of President Trump and his attorney, Rudy Giuliani.
The material was provided by Lev Parnas, one of Giuliani's indicted associates linked to the Ukraine scandal, but the content of the material remains unclear.
An attorney for Parnas says his client wants to testify. Giuliani insists he did nothing wrong.
Oh, wow. But how long have you known me, Ed?
I've known you several years.
You think I'm afraid?
I don't know.
You think I get afraid?
Well,
I did the right thing. I represented my client in a very, very effective way.
Meanwhile, the Washington Post reports emails show acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney and budget officials scrambled to come up with an explanation for withholding military aid to Ukraine. The emails are among the documents the White House is refusing to give to Congress.
We head to Australia for number 4, where koalas are in danger of being wiped out by the wildfires in Australia. About 1,000 of them have reportedly been killed, and 80% of their habitat has been destroyed.
Good Samaritans have been racing into the forest to save them. Fundraising accounts to help the koalas have raised more than $1.6 million. And finally, number 5, a big night for Taylor Swift.
She broke the record for most wins ever at the American Music Awards, earning her 29th at last night's show in LA.
That beats Michael Jackson's record as she was named Artist of the Decade.
Love it. T Swift, amazing. She was just shaking it off, all the issues and troubles she's had over the years.
And haters.
And the haters. Shake them off. Good morning, everyone. It's Morning America, and look who we've got here, Adrienne Bankert, for her very first time on It's Morning America.
It is my first time.
Well, your stories have run on here before, but you live here.
I didn't. Yeah.
Anchoring It's Morning America.
I'm really honored.
Yeah, we got to tell people It's Morning America.
It is morning.
Just in case you're like groggy, if
Goodness
you're
gracious.
watching, they turn on our digital, watch us online.
It's still dark outside, so you
Yes.
could be confused.
Great to have Adrienne here.
It's great to be here. Well, let's get to the big story this morning, of course. The shakeup at the Pentagon. The top official at the Navy has been forced to resign over the way he handled the war crimes case of a Navy SEAL clashing with the White House. Navy Secretary Richard Spencer is accused of going behind his boss's back after President Trump intervened in the case. This morning, Navy Secretary Richard Spencer is out of a job, forced out over the handling of the war crimes case involving Navy SEAL Eddie Gallagher. Defense Secretary Mark Esper saying in a statement, "I have determined that Secretary Spencer no longer has my confidence to continue in his position." Gallagher was acquitted by a military court of war crimes in the killing of a teenage ISIS prisoner in Iraq, but was convicted for illegally posing with the teen's corpse. He was then demoted in rank, sparking a controversy pitting the Trump administration against the U.S. Navy. The president intervened in the case last week, ordering the Navy to promote Gallagher back to his rank, restoring his pay and pension.
You know, I just want to retire peacefully with all the honors that I've earned, get back to my family.
The president then publicly slammed the Navy for launching a review that could have stripped the decorated veteran of his status as a Navy SEAL with this tweet: "The Navy will not be taking away warfighter and Navy SEAL Eddie Gallagher's Trident pin. This case was handled very badly from the beginning. Get back to business." But Navy Secretary Richard Spencer responded by saying he does not consider tweets an order. In a lengthy letter to the president, Spencer said he could not in good conscience obey an order that he believed violated the sacred oath he took. Defense Secretary Esper says he fired Spencer for going around him in dealing with the Gallagher issue. Esper says he, quote, lost trust and confidence in him regarding his lack of candor over conversations with the White House. Senator Chuck Schumer says Spencer got a raw deal.
I believe he did the right thing. He should be proud. Good order, morale, and discipline in the armed services have to transcend politics, and Spencer stood for that.
Gallagher will now retire November 30th with the Trident pin that identifies him as a SEAL. And amid all this back and forth, ABC News has learned that Gallagher had decided over the weekend to give up his SEAL pin, fearing the issue was becoming too political, but he won't have to do that now.
Police here in New York City were quick to tighten security in Times Square when they got word of a threat. Patrols were increased at the crossroads of the world. That was in reaction to someone posting a bomb threat on the online chat forum Reddit. Authorities said the threat was not credible, but they're investigating who posted it anyway.
Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg is home and said to be doing well after being treated for an infection. The 86-year-old was discharged yesterday from Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore. The justice suffering from chills and a fever. In the past year, she's also had lung cancer surgery and has been treated for pancreatic cancer.
We turn now to one of the richest men in the world officially entering the race for president. Michael Bloomberg is launching an unconventional pursuit of the Democratic nomination.
But this morning, his rivals are accusing the billionaire of trying to buy the election.
Mayor Bloomberg, are you excited?
Overnight, Michael Bloomberg spotted at his new headquarters after making it official.
Mike Bloomberg for president.
The former New York mayor announcing his candidacy for president, dropping more than $37 million on a TV ad campaign. It's the largest of the 2020 election cycle so far. His fellow candidates firing back, accusing Bloomberg, who is worth an estimated $50 billion, of trying to buy the election.
That is why multi-billionaires like Mr. Bloomberg are not going to get very far in this election.
Telling billionaires that they can just come and buy elections, that doesn't make the democracy work.
Bloomberg's ads will air in several key battleground states, and while he won't have enough donors to qualify for December's debate, he could be on the stage for January.
Maybe the argument is, hey, I've got more money than the guy in the White House. I don't think they're going to buy that. I think they want someone different.
In the week leading up to the announcement, Bloomberg apologized for the NYPD's controversial stop and frisk policy, a tactic he defended for years following his time as mayor, even after a federal judge found it violated the rights of minorities.
However, today, I want you to know that I realized back then I was wrong.
Analysts say that Bloomberg is adopting a nationwide strategy, trying to win larger primary states while skipping smaller states early on, like Iowa and New Hampshire. The president's campaign is responding, saying they can keep adding more names to the pile, but no one beats Trump. Meanwhile, now that he's running for president, the news service that bears his name is making some new rules. Journalists at Bloomberg News will not be allowed to investigate Bloomberg or any of his rivals while he's a candidate.
Oh, pretty interesting there.
Yeah.
And we have an update on the 5-year-old boy who was thrown off the 3rd floor of the Mall of America back in April intentionally. A family friend says he's doing great. This is the boy. His name is Landon. That friend says Landon is walking perfectly after spending months in intensive care and physical therapy. Landon says, I fell off a cliff, but angels caught me. The man who pleaded guilty in the case is sentenced to 19 years.
Investigators believe that gas is to blame for a deadly home explosion in eastern Kentucky. 2 people died in Saturday's blast in Wolfe County, about 50 miles outside of Lexington. Their bodies were found early yesterday. 4 other people are in the hospital.
Frightening images from New Mexico. A 17-year-old is carjacked at gunpoint in front of his Albuquerque home. He was leaving for school when the suspect walked up. You can see the gun's laser sight on the teen's chest. Just incredible. He gave the carjacker the keys The gunman drives off, but not before the teen's dad tries to chase him. That suspect is still on the loose.
Very scary there. Incredible pictures, too, from suburban Minneapolis. A small plane crashes into power lines. You see it there, stuck upside down, dangling by a wheel. The 65-year-old pilot was the only person on board. He was stuck until the power could be shut off in order for crews to get him down. And he is set to be okay.
And yet again, an Apple Watch proved to be a lifesaver.
Yes, a woman from New York City says the device woke her up one night. The buzzing warned the 74-year-old grandmother that she was having an irregular heartbeat. So she ended up taking herself to the hospital and was told if she hadn't gotten there sooner, she might have had a stroke or a heart attack. She's thanking her grandkids because buying the watch was their idea.
You know, the technology's got to improve and save lives.
Yeah, preventative technology.
Yeah, definitely.
Very smart.
Well, coming up, big elections in Hong Kong, what it means for the pro-democracy protest movement there.
But first, are you getting enough sleep?
No.
We certainly aren't, so you might not be either. But we have new tips from the experts that could help you get some more Z's. That's after this. Welcome back. We hope you're waking up on the right side of the bed this morning after some good rest over the weekend. We certainly hope you've had good rest. We're hopeful. We're optimistic. But if you think sweet dreams are a result of a nightcap or a nice, cozy, warm bed, you might want to think again.
It turns out what you don't know about getting a good night's sleep can hurt you. Here's ABC's Trevor Ault.
How'd you sleep last night? If you got less than 7 hours, the CDC says you're sleep deprived, and that's the case for more than a third of Americans.
I wake up at least 4 or 5 times a night.
When it comes to good sleep, there are lots of questions, and not everybody knows the right answers. First up, what's better, sleeping in a warm room or a cold one?
Cold.
I like warm.
It's cold outside, I could just stick a leg out then.
There you go.
It's a colder room.
Yeah?
I wouldn't have thought so, but I just read something about this.
So the optimal sleeping temperature is between 68 and 72 degrees. The body temperature lowers as you're falling asleep. And if the room is too hot, it can make the body too hot and make it harder to fall asleep.
How about once your thermostat is set? A nightcap, maybe a glass of wine should help you drift off, right?
Probably.
If I go out for a night out with a few drinks, I'll sleep like a log.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think you sleep better?
No, I tried that.
It didn't work for you?
Alcohol disrupts the sleep architecture, which means the structure of sleep and the sleep phases. You don't get the deep, restful phases in the amount and the depth that makes you feel good and that you need.
Let's say you're still having trouble sleeping at night. Can you fill up your sleep bank with afternoon naps instead?
I don't think it hinders a good night's sleep.
When I fall asleep after school, it's harder for me to sleep at night.
I take cat naps.
Do you think that that's healthier than just sleeping at night?
No.
Power naps are healthy. They are 20 to 30 minutes, and they give you a natural boost and recharge, kind of like a cup of coffee.
Of all the factors impacting your health, sleep is among the most important. Any step you can take to make it easier is worth it. After all, it is a third of your life. Trevor Ault, ABC News, New York.
Our thanks to Trevor there.
I've always thought, keep the room warm until recently when I was told that it's healthier to sleep in a cooler bedroom.
No, I definitely keep it cold.
I think men do. I think it's a gender thing, honestly. I think the guys like the room colder.
'Cause I'll wake up hot.
And I think women like to be warm and snuggly.
We like to hibernate. We're like bears.
Well, I think for me, I blast the warmth in the heater. And then just before I'm about to jump into the covers, I turn it way down because I just can't stand the fact that the room is cold.
Yeah.
Make it cold when I'm not aware of it while I'm asleep. You can sleep.
Hope you get some good sleep after this show. But for now, let's turn to Hong Kong, where record turnout in key elections is sending a strong message in support of the anti-government protests that have gone on for months. Their pro-democracy candidates won almost half the seats in district councils, and the main pro-China party lost 85% of its races.
Let's bring in foreign correspondent Julia McFarland across the pond in the London Bureau for more on that.
Julie, before you get to that, it's the first time you're working with Adrian
here.
I was gonna say, hey Adrian, it's so nice to see you bright and early in the middle of the night for you guys, but nice and early here in the UK.
I was telling Kenneth, I said I haven't had the pleasure of meeting her the times that I went to London to work at the Bureau there. You were maybe on vacation, maybe in Bali.
Yeah, she's got a good Instagram.
Yes. I was
good
shamed.
IG.
I was shamed for going on holiday back to my motherland. But, as Kenneth was quick to remind me when I got back. But hey, hope to see you across the other side of the pond, hopefully soon. But nice to be on air with you. But yes, so Hong Kong. I mean, if the pro-democracy movement really wanted to send a message to Beijing, they certainly did that with these district council elections. First of all, the turn-up was huge, 71% compared to less than half of the electorate turning out in 2015. Now, according to local media reports, 17 of the 18 councils are now controlled by pro-democracy councillors. Now, usually these elections aren't hugely significant. They don't make up the administration, and so there's not really that much tension on them. But because of these long-standing protests and the current political situation in Hong Kong, there's been a lot more awareness of these elections, a lot more coverage. And of course, one thing that is important about these district elections is that these councillors will make up part of the legislative body that chooses the chief executive. So it is quite important, and it's of course taken on a new significance because of these protests going on in Hong Kong.
Well, let's move on, Julia, to Iran, where the nation's internet has been restored after the government shut it down for a week. And now we have some new video that has surfaced of protests there turning violent over rising gas prices. So what are we learning from these new videos?
Right, so it was very concerning, that huge internet blockage that started on the 16th of November. That was amid these ongoing protests in Iran. So international observers, a lot of Iranian expats who've got family still in Iran, were really, really worried about what was going to happen in the country behind digital closed doors, as it were. And now that the internet has come back online since the weekend, a lot of footage has emerged, but it has to be said, it's really difficult to verify a lot of these videos because, of course, none of them are live. They're videos that have been taken over the past few days, and so international observers, Amnesty International, the UN, they're trying to verify what's happened. They're trying to get some kind of count, but what we do know is that there have been at least 100 people have died in these protests, according to Amnesty International, who tried to cross-reference the figures. They tried to phone as many people as they can, tried to collate the evidence. The UN estimates the number is much higher. The Iranian authorities have not given any kind of official figures as to what the death toll was, but they dispute those figures from Amnesty International. And I have to say there have been some very, very disturbing videos that have been circulating. A lot of them, interestingly, showing strong protests, chants against the government, chants against the mullah, against the Iranian authorities. A lot of people angry about Iranian foreign policy and about how much money is spent on the IRGC's operations abroad. Now, this is, of course, in response to those raised gas prices that started off these protests. But, guys, I just want to say to you that our very own Samaya Malekian has just come back to London. She's here in the bureau. She's just come back from Iran, so she's going to be reporting for us from what she witnessed on the ground in Iran. So we're really, really lucky to have her here.
We definitely are. Our big thanks to Samaya there. And Julie, before you leave, I just want to take a moment to recognize today is the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, which the United Nations calls one of the most widespread, persistent, and devastating human rights violations in the world. What's going on today to bring attention to this issue?
Yeah, that's right. So they've marked today, the 25th of November. They've made this day the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. They want to use this day to really draw attention to that global issue. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres says sexual violence against women and girls is rooted in centuries of male domination. Let's not forget that the gender inequalities that fuel rape culture are essentially a question of power imbalances. So what he's saying is that violence against women is, of course, an issue that needs to be tackled, but so do the underlying structures and power imbalances that contribute to that. The UN have put out some really, really disturbing statistics that really put that into context for us. First of all, 1 in 3 girls and women experience physical or sexual violence in their lifetime, most frequently by an intimate partner. Worldwide, almost 750 million women and girls alive today were married before their 18th birthday, before they reach adulthood. And just one last one I want to leave you guys with that's also very disturbing. 1 in 2 women killed worldwide were killed by their partners or family members in 2017. Just to put that into context, the male statistic for that is just 1 in 20 men were killed under similar circumstances. You know, a really, really widespread systematic problem around the world, and the UN are rightly using this day to try and draw attention to that, get that conversation going, trying to get maybe a bit more awareness and discussion, and hopefully contribute to the solutions.
Some tough and sobering numbers there.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us for all of those news updates, Julia, and I hope you have
Thanks,
a good
guys.
day and a great morning.
So glad you guys can see
Thank
each other work
you.
together.
See you guys
I love
tomorrow.
it. You know, I really bring people together
That-
here on It's Morning America.
that is
because
your
I have so
role.
many different co-hosts, co-anchors here. So
I am going to break into that studio and say hi to you guys in
Yes.
real life one day.
Definitely.
hey, thank you, Julie. Appreciate it.
See you soon.
Let's
Bye.
take a break from the news now and check our notifications.
Well, starting with a mix-up when a rescue kitten turned out to be more than one family bargained for. It turns out it was a cub of a wild cat cub.
Oh.
Yes.
So it wasn't like a little kitten, like a house kitty.
No.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it was a wild
Will it grow up?
species.
Will it be like pretty big or something?
Bigger than a cat.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Not a domesticated breed of cat either. Well, speaking of cats, we know the ancient Egyptians held them in very high esteem.
They did.
And archaeologists have found a treasure trove of cat statues and even mummified animals.
There they are. They just unveil hundreds of ancient statues and animal mummies there. I
so
feel like they've been
different.
uncovering a lot lately, and so it's like, look, come visit us. We're putting these in museums and whatnot.
Oh, my.
And let's keep the animal fun going. Check out these unlikely friends. A dog and an abandoned giraffe have become inseparable at an animal sanctuary.
Yes, Hunter is the name of the dog.
I like when
Jazz is the
these
giraffe.
unlikely duos happen.
Because why?
Because in nature, you didn't think they were supposed to be together like this.
And yet,
And there they are.
they're together.
Oh, I love it. And finally, let's go to
So
the
cute.
NFL. Usually teams are pretty strict when it comes to bringing your own food into the stadium.
I'm hungry thinking about this. One fan at the Bears-Giants game managed to have his pie and eat it too. He has a pumpkin pie in the stands at
Yummers.
Soldier Field with a whole can of whipped cream. And let me tell you, I'm ready for some. Can we have some pumpkin?
It is
Or sweet
Thanksgiving
potato?
week, and we cannot wait to get the desserts. And it was certainly a beautiful day in the neighborhood for a 7th grade student near Minneapolis.
Yeah, for the first time in his life, he's seeing just how beautiful the neighborhood really is. Here's Janae Norman.
They're all yours.
In this science class in southwest Minnesota, 7th grader Jonathan Jones is about to see the world in a whole new way. Jonathan is extremely colorblind. He's just been handed a pair of high-tech glasses that let him see vivid colors for the very first time. It wasn't until this moment that he could appreciate what many take for granted.
I was feeling joy and happiness that I could finally see all this color, and a little bit of sadness because I wasn't able to see color my whole life.
Come here, dude.
Jonathan got the special glasses from his principal, who's also colorblind.
Mom, you better get in there too. That is so awesome. I told you it's going to be a little emotional.
You see Jonathan walking around the classroom, mesmerized by the periodic table.
Don't you want to touch them? I wanted to touch every color, right? Go ahead, you can touch them.
After this video went viral,
What a great day.
the family started a GoFundMe page to help others. In just a few days, donations poured in, skyrocketing to roughly $24,000.
It's just snowballed in a beautiful, beautiful way.
And Jonathan getting his own pair of color glasses.
Everything just pops.
So what's his favorite color now? Well, he says it's blue.
One thing I'm looking forward to is this winter we are going to the Caribbean, and I'm excited to see the ocean blue.
Janae Norman, ABC News, New York.
That vacation is going to be so nice, just blue, crystal blue, clear waters, and
Yeah.
he's going to love it.
It's perfect timing. A
definitely.
grateful week during this holiday week. Well, coming up, we're going to tell you what to watch out for as we start the week on Monday.
Plus more flooding in Venice. Just how much could this cost the city? Stay with us.
Well, hi.
Hey, well, here's what's
Chinese
happening. Here's what to watch out for today. Besides his son here, President Trump is set to meet with Prime Minister of Bulgaria at the White House.
The Chinese businesswoman convicted of trespassing at President Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort and lying to federal agents is set to be sentenced.
And the turkeys set to receive Thanksgiving pardons are living the good life in Washington, D.C. right now.
Those heads look fluffy.
The birds have been set up just down the street from the White House at the Willard Intercontinental Hotel. Hey, rooms there go for $200 a night.
That's not bad.
Which really is not bad.
That's a good price.
We've learned their names will be revealed later this morning, and tomorrow we'll find out which one of them receives the official presidential pardon.
We'll find out. Plus, don't forget to tune in to The Debrief for an update on all of our top stories and The Briefing Room for a breakdown of the latest headlines in politics.
Hey, so our question of the day goes right back to the turkeys. What would you name these turkeys? Tell us in the comments section or tweet us at ABC News Live.
Peas and carrots from last year. That was the name of the two turkeys. Peas
anyone,
and carrots.
You got any ideas for what the name should be?
Cornbread and stuffing.
Oh, that's a good one. Because it's time to eat some turkey.
I am so ready. Do you make collard greens during Thanksgiving?
I don't make anything.
Wait a minute. What?
I really should.
You just sit there?
I was.
You play dominoes? Spades.
I
watch TV.
I kind of just like visit other family and friends, and then I show up when
the food is
finally ready. Because they say, oh, it's going to be ready at 2. Then I know it's not going to be ready till 3.
You know what? In my house, it's like 2 hours.
Right.
When they say dinner's at 4,
You're like
it's
no,
6:30.
It's going to be 6.
And they're still cooking something.
Right. Exactly. Still throwing the bread in, the cornbread or something in last minute.
Okay. Favorite, before we go on to more news, favorite Thanksgiving foods?
Stuffing.
Yes. Cornbread
also
stuffing?
Known as dressing down south.
I like oyster dressing. A lot of people, that's an acquired taste, but oyster stuffing is one of my favorites.
I don't think I know about this.
It's delicious.
And plus I'm allergic to seafood, so I think that I would not be able to have that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Okay, mac and cheese for me.
Mac and
Some
cheese.
people don't think you should have mac and cheese on Thanksgiving for some
What?
reason.
Who thinks that?
Collard greens anytime, really. Thanksgiving is important.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And cornbread stuffing. Yeah.
You can come to my house.
Okay.
Or I will come to yours.
I'll be cooking. You'll be sitting around talking to people.
I'll show up an hour late.
Well, let's talk about more news now. Finally, the water has risen once again in Venice, Italy, which is now suffering through its worst month of flooding since 1872, when records were first kept. The year 1872. Wow. Tides have flooded the city's main square and its famous basilica. Damage could top $1 billion. Here's ABC's Maggie Rulli, who's there.
Another high tide and more flooding here in St. Mark's Square, and we're expected to see a repeat of scenes like this one again and again over the next few days. It is getting so bad here that the local government has even started asking for international donations to help.
Elsewhere in northern Italy, the rain triggered landslides that cut off at least one village, and a different landslide washed out a highway bridge and damaged other roads.
Yeah, so many people thinking about Italy and what's happening there. And when you look at Venice, such a beautiful historic city, it's just been heartbreaking to see those scenes.
Yeah, and for people to not know what to do next.
Right, exactly. All right, and on that note, we will end it. And it's been great to have Adrienne Bankert here. And guess what? She's back tomorrow for It's Morning America.
For one more night.
Can't wait.
One more morning.
All right.
It feels like night, but it's really morning.
That's
how early it is.
That's what it is. When you leave here, you don't know if you should eat dinner, breakfast, who knows.
But you better have some mac and cheese. Same.
Mac and cheese for breakfast. I'm here for it. All right, y'all. See ya.